Most people think that if their heart was in danger, they would feel it. That is the single most dangerous assumption an adult over 60 can make, because the cardiac events that kill without warning, the ones that happen between midnight and 6 in the morning, often do not feel like anything at all. And almost every single one of them is triggered by something ordinary, something you did before you turned off the light. Before this video ends, I am going to show you the 5 quiet evening habits that cardiology research has linked to nighttime heart attacks and strokes, and I will give you a simple, specific protocol you can follow tonight to protect yourself. If you are watching this channel for the first time, this is what every video here is built to do. Give you the conversation your 15-minute appointment never had time for. If that is worth something to you, subscribe now and turn on notifications, because what comes next in this video is the part most people never stay long enough to hear. My name is Dr. Clifford Adeshina. For over 2 decades, I have dedicated my life to one mission: giving adults over 60 the health information they deserve to have but rarely receive. Not because doctors are hiding it, not because the system is corrupt, but because a 15-minute appointment was never designed to cover everything that matters. This channel exists to fill that gap with honest information, with real research, with the kind of clarity that puts you in control of your own health. This is not a channel for generic advice. This is a channel for the truth that changes how you live, and it starts right now. And before we go any further, I need to tell you something. In over 20 years of medicine, I have read the charts of patients who went to bed feeling fine and never woke up. I have sat across from their families at 6 in the morning and searched for the right words. And in almost every one of those cases, the pattern was the same quiet habits, the same invisible chain of evening decisions. By the time this video ends, you will understand that pattern, and you will know exactly how to break it. After 60, your cardiovascular system changes in ways most people never fully appreciate. During the day, your body has multiple backup systems working together. Hormones adjust pressure. Muscles help circulate blood. Your nervous system responds instantly to any demand placed on it. But at night, many of those supports quiet down. In a healthy system, blood pressure dips by 10 to 20% during sleep. This is called the nocturnal dip. It is your heart's recovery window, a period of genuine rest built into your biology. But research published in the journal Hypertension shows that many adults over 60 lose that protective dip entirely. Some experience a rise in blood pressure during the night instead of a fall. Think of your arteries like flexible tubing when you are young. They expand under pressure and absorb the force. As you age, that tubing stiffens. When pressure rises at night, it hits the arterial walls harder than it ever did before. And here is where it becomes personal. What determines whether your heart gets recovery or sustained stress overnight is heavily shaped by what you do in the hours before you close your eyes. That is the door we are walking through today. I want to show you exactly what that pattern looks like in a real life. Let me tell you about a man I will call Bernard. Bernard was 72, retired schoolteacher, walked every morning, drove himself everywhere, took his medications without fail. He did not look fragile, he did not feel sick. His wife told me she never once thought of him as someone at risk. But Bernard had built an evening routine that quietly worked against his heart, one habit at a time. Dinner was usually around 8:30 at night, a full plate. He would sit down afterward, watch television, and go to bed by 10. He took his blood pressure medication every morning at 7. He limited fluids after dinner because he did not want to wake up for a bathroom trip. He snored loudly, something his wife had mentioned for years. And their bedroom was warm year-round, because that was how they both liked it. Each of those decisions felt completely reasonable. Together, they created a nightly cardiovascular environment that Bernard never saw coming. He went to sleep on a Tuesday night. He did not wake up Wednesday morning. Bernard was not reckless, he was uninformed, and I have spent 20 years making sure that distinction never stops mattering to me. The first habit that silently elevates nighttime cardiac risk is eating a heavy meal within 2 to 3 hours of sleep. When you eat a large dinner, your digestive system demands increased blood flow. Your heart must pump harder. Triglyceride levels in your blood rise sharply within hours. Blood pressure climbs as your body works to process the meal. At the same time, your body is trying to prepare for sleep, slowing heart rate, relaxing vessels, beginning its overnight maintenance cycle. Those two biological demands conflict with each other directly. A study published in the Journal of the American Heart Association found that late evening eating was independently associated with elevated nocturnal blood pressure and higher rates of adverse cardiovascular events during sleep. The action is simple. Finish your main meal by 6:30 or 7 in the evening. If hunger comes later, something small and light will not create the same strain. Bernard's 8:30 dinners gave his heart no recovery window before the vulnerable hours began. Yours does not have to do the same. The second habit is one most people never think to question: taking blood pressure medication only in the morning without ever discussing timing with a doctor. The HYGIA chronotherapy trial followed more than 19,000 patients with hypertension for over 6 years. It found that those who took their blood pressure medication at bedtime had significantly lower rates of heart attack, stroke, and cardiovascular death compared to those who took the same medication in the morning. Same medication, same dose, different timing, dramatically different outcomes. If your medication peaks during the day and fades by late evening, you may be entering your most vulnerable overnight hours with less protection than you think. Do not change anything without speaking to your doctor first. But this week, ask one specific question. Should I be taking my blood pressure medication in the evening instead of the morning? Write it down before you call so you do not forget it. Bernard took his pill at 7 every morning. By the time midnight arrived, his protection was already fading. Before I go any further, I want you to do one thing. Think about the last 3 mornings. Did you wake up tired even after sleeping through the night? Did you have a headache before your first coffee? Keep that answer in mind, because what comes next may explain something you have been quietly dismissing for years. The third habit is untreated sleep apnea, and it is the one I consider most consistently underestimated. Sleep apnea is not just snoring. During an apnea episode, breathing stops temporarily, oxygen levels in the blood drop. The brain registers an emergency and fires a stress response, adrenaline, cortisol, a sudden spike in heart rate and blood pressure. Your heart jolts while the rest of your body is still asleep. This can happen 30, 40, 50 times in a single hour. Research published in the European Heart Journal found that untreated obstructive sleep apnea in older adults was linked to a significantly higher risk of major cardiovascular events. The arterial damage, the rhythm disturbances, the repeated pressure surges, they accumulate silently over years while the person believes they are simply a heavy snorer. If you wake up tired regardless of how long you slept, if you experience morning headaches, or if anyone has ever told you that you stopped breathing during the night, speak to your doctor about a sleep study. And tonight, if you typically sleep on your back, try shifting to your side. That single positional change can reduce airway obstruction immediately while you pursue a formal evaluation. Bernard's wife mentioned his snoring for more than a decade. He laughed it off every time. I want to pause here and speak to you directly. If you have recognized yourself in any of what I have described so far, the late dinners, the morning-only medication, the snoring that nobody has ever formally investigated, type the word Bernard in the comments right now. Not because I am collecting responses, because I want you to make this real for yourself. The moment you acknowledge it, something shifts. I read every comment on this channel, and your response shapes what I cover next. The fourth habit is deliberate dehydration before bed. Many adults over 60 reduce fluids in the evening to avoid waking up during the night. The logic is understandable, but even mild dehydration thickens your blood. Thicker blood moves more slowly through the body, particularly when your heart rate naturally drops during sleep. Combine that with stiffened arteries, and you have created an environment where clots are more likely to form during the hours when circulation is already at its slowest. Drink 1 glass of water before bed. Keep another on your nightstand. That is the entire action. You do not need large amounts. You need enough to ensure your blood is not thickening unnecessarily during the hours your heart can least afford the resistance. Bernard avoided fluids every night to protect his sleep. He did not know what that decision was quietly doing to his blood. The fifth habit is one almost nobody connects to cardiac health: bedroom temperature. When a room is too warm, your body works through the night to dissipate heat. Your heart rate stays elevated. You sweat, accelerating fluid loss. Deep restorative sleep is disrupted. When a room is too cold, your blood vessels constrict to preserve core temperature. Blood pressure rises, and your heart must push against greater resistance for hours. The range that supports cardiovascular recovery during sleep is between 65 and 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Inside that window, your vessels relax, your heart rate settles, and your body moves through the deeper stages of sleep where genuine cardiac repair takes place. Bernard's bedroom ran consistently warmer than that range. It seemed like a simple comfort preference. It was also a nightly cardiovascular stressor. I want to stop being a doctor for just a moment and speak to you plainly. I have stood in quiet hospital corridors at dawn and explained to families what happened overnight. And more than once, I have thought, if someone had told them this 6 months ago, we would not be standing here right now. That is why I make these videos, not for the people already in the hospital, for you, right now, before. After 20 years of watching what happens to patients who never had this information, I developed what I call the cardiac evening shield. It is the simplest and most direct way I know to give your heart what it needs during the hours when it is most at risk. Finish dinner by 7. Ask your doctor about medication timing this week. Address snoring and possible sleep apnea as a medical priority. Drink 1 glass of water before bed. Set your bedroom between 65 and 72 degrees tonight. Every one of those 5 decisions can be made before you turn off the light tonight. Not one of them requires a prescription, a gym membership, or a dramatic change in how you live. They require only that you know, and now you do. The fact that you stayed, that you sat with this rather than scrolling past, that is not nothing. Most people your age will never hear what you just heard. They will go to bed tonight the same way they did last night. You will not. That difference starts right now. Bernard went to sleep on a Tuesday night not knowing what you now know. You do not have to be Bernard. Tonight does not have to look the same as every night before it. You are not just someone who watched a video today. You are someone who chose to show up for their own health when most people will scroll past information like this without pausing. That choice matters more than you know. If this video gave you something real, share it with one person you love who is over 60, a spouse, a sibling, a friend whose snoring fills the house, someone who has never once connected their evening habits to their heart. Send it as an act of protection, not a forwarded link. And if you are not yet subscribed, do it now. This channel exists for people who want the full picture, not fragments, not guesswork, not information designed to sell something. Just the honest truth your appointment ran out of time to cover. Before you close this tab, tell me in the comments which of the 5 habits you are changing tonight. Not next week, tonight. Bernard never got that chance, you do. I read every single comment on this channel. Your body has been working for you every single minute of your life without asking for anything in return. The least you can do is give it the truth. I am Dr. Clifford Adeshina. Good night, sleep well. I will see you in the next one. Everything I have shared today is general medical information based on published research and clinical experience. It is not a personal diagnosis or a replacement for care from your own doctor. Always consult your physician or qualified healthcare provider before making any changes to your medication, diet, supplements, or health routine.